Hi, mums, and welcome to the Natural Dog Mum podcast. I'm Sherry, your host, also known as Bear's Mum. In today's episode, we're going to be talking to Alison Gordon. She is the founder and top dog at Feed for Thought. She creates fresh as well as air-dried toppers and meals featuring a really unique style of protein, insect protein. And we're going to be talking about benefits for the planet as well as the unique nutritional benefits of this kind of protein for your dog's health. So stick around. Hi, dog mums. It's Sherry here from the Natural Dog Mum podcast. We are here today with Alison. She's from Feed for Thought. Really, really interesting brand and interesting product. I think you're really going to love this. She makes super healthy and eco-conscious treats and food products using insect protein. And she's going to tell us all about it. Welcome, Alison. Thanks for coming on.
Thank you, Sherry. So lovely to chat to you both beforehand and during this podcast.
Lovely. So to get started, can you talk about what inspired you to create a pet food brand and how this all happened?
Yeah, there's two elements to this, Sherry, and the first is a rescue dog called Max, who was an ex-Special Forces working dog. He really was a lover, not a fighter, and he needed to leave the military, and so I rehomed him. He's an anxious boy, but he's just the most sweet, beautiful little fur thing you can imagine, and I feel so lucky to have rehomed him. So he was sort of part one. I had this anxious dog who was a little fussy around eating because of his anxieties. And then the second part was I spent 10 years working in the Antarctic and the Arctic, so in the polar regions. This sounds a little hyperbolic, and I'm oversimplifying the issue. You know, over the course of 10 years, you see a lot of change. And when you see dying baby penguins, you really think, and that's the part that's a little hyperbolic, they were dying. There's lots of reasons they were dying. And one of them was the change in average or mean temperature in the area was getting higher because of the changing climate. So precipitation was more commonly falling as rain. Yeah. And these penguins were struggling because they don't have a waterproof coat and they were getting wet and then frozen. So when you see the penguins dying, you really think, what are we doing? What can I do that's different? So I would come home from my trips, I would see my beautiful dog, and I decided to start an insect farm because I understood a little bit about these insects. They're called the black soldier fly larvae. So it's a larvae and they have some really phenomenal properties. One of them is that they are really voracious consumers of unused food. The reason they are is because as a larvae, they have to eat their entire life cycle worth of energy because as a fly, they don't really have a formed mouth, so they don't eat much. So these larvae were just eating and eating. So instead of throwing waste into landfill, you can feed your unused food, upcycle it as food for these larvae. So that's the first thing that was really special about these insects. And the second thing is that they are a really great protein. The protein that requires much less land, much less water, and doesn't belch methane. So it's a really sustainable protein that happens to have some incredible properties in terms of nutrients for dogs. So I started this insect farm and I would take Max along when I was farming and learning about these insects. And it was just a hobby in my spare time. And Max would keep eating the insects that I dropped. Love them, really love them. And again, to have a dog that was a bit of a fussy eater really take to these insects. I thought maybe there's something to this. So I got my vet, who's a friend. I brought her down and talked about this idea of having dog food made out of this protein. And it turns out she did a lot of research and did some sort of reviews of the science-based peer-reviewed study and saw that some companies were already doing this in Europe. There was a lot of science to support that this was really good for dogs. And so we started a dog food. Did a year and a half of R&D to create a dog food made out of insect protein.
Amazing. So I take it that he's a very happy boy and that he is your chief product tester?
He is my chief taste tester. He thinks it's a much better job than jumping out of parachutes for the military, and he's very, very good at it.
Absolutely. And I do have to say I can support his paws up in terms of the flavour. I've tried your product and my dogs went absolutely insane. They could not get enough of it. They love the crunch and they just love the flavour. They would demolish it and be looking at me like, where's more? They really do love it.
Yeah, and it's got a bit of a different smell. It doesn't smell quite so meaty. It smells more earthy.
No, it doesn't smell bad at all. It smells kind of nutty.
Yeah. But the insects are a meat. Like it is a meat protein. It's got all the organs they need in it. It's kilo for kilo. It has more protein than beef. So it is just a really, really good protein.
Absolutely. Now, can you talk a little more about some of the health benefits of this type of protein for the doggies? What are the highlights that come to mind?
High in lauric acid, which so there's got some really great medium chain fatty acids, but the lauric acid particularly is great for brain function and cognition. So that's a really, really good one. The exoskeleton of the insect has chitin. So that's also got some really great health benefits and potentially, oh, not potentially, but some good properties to support gut health as well. So there's some really interesting things that you won't get in more traditional proteins that you might have to find elsewhere that are naturally occurring in the black soldier fly larvae.
Excellent. And the fatty acids would be really good for skin and coat as well.
Absolutely, really good for skin and
Amazing. So tell us a little bit about the products that you have available at the moment.
so the most popular one is the dry food, and that has been really popular with dogs with allergies. So if they're allergic to the more traditional proteins like beef, chicken, lamb, pork, they're finding a lot of dog owners are finding the novel proteins really hard to come by. You have to go to specialty shops or run around town trying to find crocodile. It's easy to access and it's a really nutritious, complete and balanced dog food for dogs with allergies. And the other big market that is liking the dry dog food is owners who are vegetarian and vegan who reduce their meat
Mm,
intake and want their dog a meat that is arguably less sentient than a cow or a chicken.
yeah.
So that's the other main target. So that's the dry dog food. And I recognize a lot of people don't feed their dogs and choose not to feed their dogs dry dog food, and that's really wonderful. I fully support that, and I know a lot of your listeners are raw and fresh feeders. And so to cater to that market as well, we've got some protein rewards, which is just an air dried insect. So you can see that it's an insect. It looks like a little larvae, but it's air dried, and so it's got all those beautiful nutrients without the squirmy factor. If you can tolerate an air dried insect.
And
So
super
that's
crunchy. My guys love them.
yeah, really nice. Yeah. And then we've done some really good R&D on a lightly cooked fresh food. It has been so popular, and I think the hero ingredients in that, which I love, are the black soldier fly larvae, but also we've added protein in the form of microalgae. It gives the product a bit of a green tinge, which sounds unusual, but we kept it in firstly because it's a great protein, but secondly because we did a lot of palatability testing and the dogs preferred the taste of the microalgae every time. So we've kept it in there, and we are now just doing, so we've put it out on the market, got some great feedback, and now we're just doing some cold chain logistics problem
That's the hard
solving
part,
to
isn't
make
it?
sure 100%. So we really want to get it out to more than just the Canberra population. So that's the problem we're trying to solve at the moment, and that will give people who do feed raw and fresh the option to include that in their dog's diet, should in rotation or however they want. Or it gives the dry feeders an option to add in insects again in all or part of their dog's diet.
Absolutely. And the fresh meal that you have is actually a balanced meal, isn't it? It has other ingredients in addition to the insect protein.
Yeah, it absolutely does. So the insect protein in that it's minced up, so it's the full insects, but it's ground, and all the other ingredients, which is vegetables and and the other ingredients that it needs to be complete and balanced. It is ground up and just looks like a mince.
Yeah. Oh,
And
that's
the reason we've
absolutely
lightly cooked
fantastic.
it is, yeah, I wanted those vegetables to be, the nutrients to be bioavailable. So you really have to cook some of those vegetables to get that. So it's lightly cooked.
Absolutely, absolutely, and that's so good for dogs that have digestive issues because as fantastic as raw is, and look, I'm a raw feeder as well. There are also a lot of dogs out there for different reasons. They just can't tolerate raw. It just does not agree with them. So something that's gently cooked, that's lightly cooked, and not at super high temperatures is actually much more gentle.
Yeah, we found that too. And I think it was probably a step too far for a lot of people, even the most committed raw feeders, to feed live insects. or even insects in their full form that haven't been air dried. So we've sort of taken that away from people, and we're happy to do that ourselves. And I think the other
air
part that is
drying,
really
you're maintaining the nutrients anyway.
yeah, absolutely. And the digestibility has also been really promising. So there's some studies that show that it's in meal form. The insect's meal is more digestible than chicken and chicken meal. In full insect form, the same results occurred. So it is highly digestible, which is good. I mean, show me a dog owner, a dog mum, dog dad, whoever it is, that wants to pick up a really big output from their dog. No, everyone's small food. So the more that the dogs are actually using all the nutrients, not just spitting it out the back end, the happier we all are.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Well, that's fantastic. It's especially good news for dogs that have food intolerances, like you mentioned, and dogs that have a lot of allergies leading to skin problems, yeast, bacterial infections, all sorts of things. Because even though some of the dogs aren't reacting because of a true food allergy, they still have intolerances and they still have sensitivities which manifest themselves in all of these horrible skin problems, which is so difficult to manage. So the fact that you've got something you can feed them that's super healthy and beneficial but doesn't trigger the reactivity is huge.
And on top of everything else, like even if you agree that all dog foods are healthy, which I don't, but even if you've got two really healthy dog foods and you put them side by side and they're both comparable nutritionally, they're both going to look after your dog, but one's going to just make you feel a whole lot better about the environment. It comes with about a quarter of the emissions of more traditional dog food. So if nothing else, you just feel good.
Absolutely. And the other benefit too, it doesn't have to be something that you're feeding all the time. It can simply be something that you include in your feed rotation just to give the dogs a little bit of variety.
Yeah, I like that idea. Yeah.
Yeah, we'll definitely be doing that. The kids could not get enough of it. I simply just use the meal or use the crunchy whole insects. I use those as little treats, not that they go very far when you've got retrievers, but I just did a little sprinkle over their meals as a topper. They love it, and it's extra nutrients, some of which they may not get from their other everyday foods.
Yeah, and that's the way a lot of the fresh feeders have been using the insects, just sprinkling it on top, knowing that it's got some really great fats and some really, really high protein content for the size of it.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Amazing stuff. So, do you have any thoughts where you would like to see things going in the coming years? Is there anything you can tell us about a direction you would like to go, whether it's your brand or the industry, or what are your thoughts? I mean, we absolutely want to see more sustainable products. That's a definite.
Yeah, I think from a really micro level, I really want to crack this logistics issue and get the fresh food out there, because I really believe in the value of less processed food for dogs where you can. I hold no judgment about that for those that can't do it, but I really see the value in that. So I really want to crack that problem. I would love to also produce a cat food. It's a huge ambition that doesn't come without its challenges, but it's certainly on my radar. But from an industry perspective, I think you're right. I think I want to normalize the idea of sustainability in dog food. The same way we've done it with a keep cup. People don't blink twice about taking their own cup to a cafe or taking their own reusable shopping bag to the supermarket anymore. It's just an expectation. And I want them to sort of embrace that idea just as like a feel-good factor, so you can nourish your dog and help to save the planet. And that's normal. At the moment, it's not normal. It's still an education process.
We're a little bit behind in Australia on that, unfortunately.
Yeah. But it is changing. It is absolutely changing. From when I started 4 years ago, the market is so different. Fresh food is much bigger. Novel proteins are more common, which actually makes them less novel and a problem. Yeah. And dog food sustainability is a topic of conversation now.
As it should be. Fantastic. Is there anything else that you would like to mention to our listeners while we've got you? Where can they find you, or where can they find your products if they would like to give their fur babies a little bit of a taste test?
Thank you, Sherry, for giving me a chance to get that information out.
No problem.
I would love them to go to the website feedforthought.com.au and purchase direct. We are starting to get into retailers, and so on that website, if you want to check the stockist page, you can see if there's anyone stocking near you. But if you do want to see it in your local shops, go to your local pet shop, particularly if they're an independent, and just say, hey, can you stock this? And they can get in touch with me, and we've got some great deals for pet shops. So, that'd be amazing. But at the moment, the best way to get it is direct through the website.
Excellent. We'll make sure that we link all of those details down in the description as well, so that people know where to find you. We'd love to see you again at some point if you have time and talk some more, because I think it's a topic that well and truly deserves much more attention than it's getting. And I think if more people simply understood a little bit more about novel proteins, in particular insect protein, it might help to sort of, open their minds a little bit more to trying something different, that has all fantastic health benefits and that's priced really well as well. It's not expensive, whether you do it as a treat or you do it as a topper, or you do dry food or the fresh if it's in your area. Adding any amount, you're only going to see benefits, and the dogs love it.
Yeah. And the last thing I would add, if I may, Sherry, is that Max, my dog, my partner, and my 8-month-old baby, we are in a van at the moment. So I've taken Feed for Thought on the road. We are touring Australia. We're effectively a mobile sales team. So jump on socials, Feed for Thought AU on Instagram and Facebook, because I keep it pretty well updated about where we are. And I typically go to dog parks and hand out free samples and love to connect with your listeners, and if they want to have a sample, I'll be down there. So just follow it and check in and let me know when I'm in your area and which dog park I should visit, and I'll come and see you guys.
That is excellent and so much fun. I would love to do something like that.
It's an adventure for sure.
We'll keep in touch on that front as well, and maybe we can share some posts on social media as well to give people a little bit of a heads up on sort of where you're at, so that they can pop down and say hi.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Sherry. It's been such a pleasure to talk to you and to all your listeners.
Thank you so much for coming on. It's really, really interesting stuff, and I'd love to learn some more about it. So we'd love to have you back again to talk even more.
And thanks for all the educational content you put out there. It's just wonderful, and I love being part of your community.
Well, thank you. Thanks for tuning in for the podcast. If you enjoyed this episode, please remember to like, subscribe, and share. Say hi to your dog for me.